your state absolutely influences your reality creation. Because as Einstein stated, it is not philosophy. This is physics. There can be no other way. When you shift your state to be in alignment with your desired reality, your reality cannot help but reconfigure to match you. And the way that that happens, there is a process to it, and it's simple. But most people overcomplicate this. I'm going to show you how you can shift your state so you can attract and have the results that you desire. Let's get straight into it. You cannot match your desired reality and match the frequency when you are overstimulated by a world that is actually teaching you the absolute opposite. If it is keeping you in a stretch to simply survive, or in a stretch to simply up and down, 1 minute you're thriving, 1 minute you're surviving. Like, I say minute, but it feels like this roller coaster yo-yo. It feels like you go up and down. Rather than maintaining a state and elevating that state, because the universe does have the law of rhythm and law of correspondence. The law of rhythm states that there is a cycle to everything. And that cycle you can see in nature itself. You can see the cycle, the earth cycles around the sun, for example, and that accumulates to 1 year. The seasons have a cycle. Plants, animals have a cycle. Even human gestation of a child being born, there is a cycle. There are trimesters. There is a cycle in every form of creation. Most of us are detached from the natural law of rhythm of life. And once we understand how this works, if we elevate our state, if you are here now is your state, and if you elevate your state to your desired reality, there is still the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm is a part of existence. It's a part of creation, and it serves a wonderful purpose. So everything is in cycle. Now, before, you may have been experiencing these ups and downs here, and these downs are pretty heavy. But once you get to an elevated state of your desired reality, there is also the polarity of what that desired reality experience is. Every frequency has polarity. So every frequency has the top end and the tail end. And I've spoken about this in my previous videos about how frequency works. The higher states of frequency isn't just about high vibes and happy vibes. It is about the closer, more precise, the more fine-tuned, the more elevated, the more authentic, the more truthful, the more elevated experiences. And then that same frequency can have the extreme opposite. So for example, in this context, wealth. Wealth is a frequency, okay? A billionaire is experiencing the frequency on this end, and a person who is struggling to pay their rent, or homeless, if I pick the absolute extremity, or in a truly severe state, is experiencing the lower end of the frequency. I'm not saying that this is fair, it's just the way that this frequency is. So the frequency of wealth, for example, has a complete contrast. Now, in this contrast, there are other elements of the frequency that impact what a billionaire is experiencing, such as time, poverty. Whereas the person on the other echelon of the frequency is experiencing time freedom, such as a person who is homeless, for example. And it's not a positive experience, but I'm just using it for the example of this conversation with compassion. Do you see how I'm using it? I'm showing you that every frequency, there's a polarity in the experience. Every frequency has its highs and it has its more difficult experiences. But when you elevate your state, which is another conversation, which is what Einstein is referring to, when you elevate your state and you have the type of emotional mastery and conviction and certainty in yourself, the self-leadership, the ability to have discernment. When things get really difficult, the ability to actually see something before it's going to come and put in the processes in place so you're not having to experience those things. It's getting to a state where you have greater peace and harmony in life. And when you have greater peace and harmony, when you're in harmony with the universe, you experience things in a more less resistant, more harmonious and abundant state. In a more abundant state, a more prosperous state, right? So when you are utilizing the laws of creation, which is what I'm getting into here, when you're utilizing the laws of creation to work for you instead of working in resistance, because the majority of the planet people, and I'm not talking about Indigenous people understand the laws of creation. They are working with the laws of creation. It is a sacred understanding. Now, how do you translate that and bring that into modern lifestyle, which is what I'm doing here? There are ways of bringing in the laws of creation and understanding and paying it the due respect and understanding how to transmute it into your reality in a non-fluffy manner, a non-hocus pocus manner. I'm talking about performance psychology here, coinciding with reality creation, the laws of creation. Most people are in resistance. They are striving towards a state where they believe. They are projecting onto that belief. They're projecting on thinking, oh, well, once I have A+B+C, I will feel D+E+F. And then once they get to A+B+C, they realize they only felt D+E+F for a very short period. And there's a reason why that occurs. And hence they can't maintain that state, and all sorts of other difficult experiences start to show up in their reality. For example, depression, feeling empty, feeling isolated, feeling lonely, feeling disconnected, feeling like there's nothing more, there's nothing better, there's no fulfillment that can truly come into their reality because of the way that they've set everything up around them. It just seems like layers and layers of difficulty that how would they even let it go? No one needs to suffer, and too many people are suffering regardless of what they're showing to the world. And this is without judgment. This is with pure observation of understanding of human nature, human psychology, laws of creation, and performance psychology. Humans put themselves in the predicament of where they're in pursuit of pleasure, pursuit of power, pursuit of being seen, and they don't really realize that that's just, they want to feel expressed. Human beings want to feel expressed. They want to be seen and they want to be loved for who they truly are. To be able to connect to your desired reality, it really depends on understanding there are multiple layers to this, and it's not complex, because I take complexities and I simplify them in a relatable, practical way that you can apply to your life, and hence why it happens so easily. My recent client had massive breakthroughs, and he 9x'd his investment that he made with me in under 7 weeks, and his transformation was happening around after the 4th and 5th session. So this is not uncommon in my world. It is not uncommon for my clients to experience this, and it is what I'm dedicated to. So coming back to the work, your state is influenced by all of the aspects I've shared with you, and in order to have the desired reality, the frequency Einstein is referring to, since everything is energy, to match that, it's an internal shift. The external is merely the effect of what is happening from within you. Now, this is not to confuse that, spiritual psychosis or like paranoia, thinking that everything in the world is a direct output of what's happening within you. Like, we're not coming from that level of egoic self where we think, well, the whole world revolves around my state. No, what I'm referring to is your reality is absolutely affected by your internal state. Your internal state is your perception, it is your beliefs, your expectations, your emotionally charged thoughts, it is your conviction and where is it sitting, it is your certainty in the doubt, all those contrasts that you're experiencing on a regular basis. It makes the state, the frequency, unreliable. So let me explain how this works. Because the universe, which is a creation of the creator, the universe, the laws of the universe, the laws of creation have a set of standards and rules, that the way that everything responds and creates and reacts, that is impacted by your internal state. Your reality is absolutely influenced by the laws of creation. Most people are absolutely unaware of this because they haven't been taught this. I wasn't taught this. None of us were taught this. And I'm grateful because it's something that I've dedicated the past 10 years of really getting familiar with this. I've read hundreds of books, but it's beyond the books. It's a knowing. It's an ability to recognize patterns. It's an ability to understand people. It's an ability to have a connection to the unseen and the seen, and the intersection of where they meet is where I sit. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because your breakthrough is absolutely determined by your internal state. Now, whether you choose to work with me or not, or whether you just choose to watch my episodes for however long you desire to, or whether we never interact in any shape or form, I genuinely desire for you to have the breakthroughs where your internal shift is so aligned and so coherent and so embodied to the state that you desire, that you feel the emotions and the feelings that you're aspiring to in the now. They're your predominant state, because I guarantee you your reality shifts according to what your state is. Now, most people, they're trapped in patterns and behaviorals. They're not even aware there's a subconscious programming and paradigm that is influencing how their state is showing up, and hence how their reality is occurring around them. So may it be that you take with you today that your state is leading your reality, and you have a choice at any time. You can completely shift this. You can change this to align to the reality that your heart, your mind, and your soul truly desires.